Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Teresa with TH Creates, and I wanted to show you my completed tag for part 3 of my Frida Kahlo tag series. And if you are interested in learning how I made this tag and these flowers, then stay tuned and the process video is up next. Since I've created these papers, they're tea dye and distress stain spray inks. A lot of people have asked me, what do I use them for? And I'm using them in this tag series. So I wanted to go ahead and show you how I'm using these papers and how versatile they actually can be. So the main purpose of making these papers was to use in my junk journals, to use as pages, just decorative pages in my junk journals for journaling, because you can definitely write on them. But I wanted to use them also with this tag series. And so I've been a little bit creative and trying to see what can I do with these exactly. So I'm using HP all-in-one printer paper. It's a 22 pound. So it's just plain white printer paper. And I do have a couple of stamps that I'm playing around with. I got these at a convention. Wow, it was years before the pandemic even, so I've had them for a while, and I want to say they were Lost Coast Stampers at their booth. I could be wrong, but I want to say that's who it is. So I've got this great Dia de los Muertos Sugar Skull lady, and then I've got Frida Kahlo here. And so before I even did anything with these pages, this is my third experiment with these papers, I went ahead and embossed the Frida Kahlo stamp on this. I am going to use this. So I black embossed this on the plain white paper before I did anything to it. I just wanted to see how the emboss would hold up and what it would actually do. So just playing around with it. Now, when I got to the ironing process, I got a little too close to this one and caught the edge of it. And then it smeared it around a little bit, but I'm going to cover it up, so I'm not really worried about it. And this is the only one I embossed in black, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I also embossed in clear. I just, again, was experimenting, wanted to see how it would show up. This didn't show up. If you're in person, you can see it because it shines. And it's pretty cool, but you can't really see a lot of the details. Then I took some distress ink. My, let me see, what I've been using is the walnut ink. And I used a brush and I went over, just kind of lightly went over, and it pulled out a lot of those details. So you can see that one quite a bit better. And this was a clear emboss on plain white paper. And then look at how it picked up the background colors. And I love it. I love the look of it. So I am going to kind of show you what I did to kind of pull out that image and to make it a little bit more detailed with this one. And then from there, we'll decide which of these we're going to use. This has a lighter background. This one does. So it may be that this one works better, but we'll find out in a moment. I'm not using these for the tags, but this is some embossing I did in white. I'll probably use them for something else. And then I also stamped with just my VersaFine Onyx Black. I stamped on those to see how that would hold up. And it looks dull, so it's probably just the water that created that, but I still like the images. They're still really good impressions. And then the Sugar Skull, I only did 2 stamps in the black ink to see how that would turn out. Now, I am going to use her on another tag, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use one of these images or if I wanted to see if stamping on an already printed or dyed piece of paper would work better. So let me pull my base out. This is what I'm working with today. So I wanted the background to have, I've been doing something on the background of all of these tags, and this one I did gold splatters. It's going to be a very similar front and back background because I'm using those Frida Kahlo images that I have here, the ones I told you that I really liked that I think I ended up setting aside somewhere else. Oh goodness. Let me go through my stash here, that one. And then we'll decide which of those we're going to use. Okay. Clean up my mess. Okay. So I know that I am going to use this one. And this time I actually have, let's see, can I see her? I cannot see her from the back. I'm going to take my X-Acto blade. This is the shape that I need, or the size that I need. Watch this be incredibly crooked when I'm done. I've seen someone using the little finger ones. I need one of those. A little bit of a rough edge. Might be time for a new blade. So getting these wet, using the tea dye on this paper, and then also spraying them and then allowing them to dry, it really changes these fibers. So it loosens up the fibers, and the feel of this paper is just completely different afterwards. Yeah, this blade is not good. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that. Now that I've kind of got the line there. Okay. So there we go. And I think that she will fit fine. Yep, she'll fit fine. I do need to, I wonder if I can round the edges. Sometimes, because it's such a thin kind of a paper, sometimes if you back it with something that's a little bit stronger, yep, you can get it to punch, and that will work. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit all of these corners so you can stamp on it. You can cut corners. You can emboss. So I'm really enjoying this paper, these dyed papers. And they're so bright and festive. When I did this third batch, I did use papers that were use inks that were a lot brighter so that I could get some really nice colors out of it. I just grabbed another corner. There we go. All right, so let's see how she fits. She looks good. She is crookedy, but again, I'm not really worried about it. She's a little bit off. I stamped her off to begin with when I embossed it. And I'm not, yeah. Handmade, not perfection. I remind myself of that often. Let's see. I want to ink up the edges a little bit. I cleaned up before I started this, and I am very quickly dwindling my space down, my workspace down to just a tiny bit. Let me put this on, even though that blade is pretty crappy. I don't want to injure myself. All right, so I'm going to use some black soot and just see if I can get some of these edges. Just have a little bit of a little border. I'd be interested, anyone who has tried that paper dyeing technique that I have in that other video, if anyone's used that, what you're doing with your papers. Be interested to know if there's something else that I might be missing that you guys are doing. And voila. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put her down. And it's so hard to pick a side because all of the sides of these papers are just beautiful. It's such a hard time picking a side. I want to put it down nice and good, but I don't really want to mess with I don't really want to spread it out because I don't want to lose the wrinkles and the texture. So I'm just going to kind of pat it down. And then this little tear here, I'm leaving that. Matter of fact, I might ink them up a little bit, and I'm leaving it. I like that. All right. Now I'll show you what I was doing with the other side of that stamp. So this is clear embossed, and I think you might be able to see it in the shine with my light up here. And then this was also clear embossed, and I loved the way it looked, and I can see it with the shine. But then when I went over it with some of this walnut stain, and it's just regular Distress Oxide, it really started to pick up. It went around those edges and started to pick up some of those details. And then you could see it quite a bit more. But like I said, the background on this image is a lot darker. So I don't know if it will do the same. If it'll have the same kind of effect. And it gets pretty dark around the edges of this. See, and you can see it quite a bit more now. So there she is. That's what it looks like. And I'm going to clean it up a little bit because now she's got Distress ink on her. And I'm going to go in and kind of wipe it up off of this. Just go in and lightly lift it. More of that shiny area will show through. There we go. So I'm a little bit torn. I don't know which one I absolutely love. I'm going to use. I think I'm going to go with my original just because I think she's a little bit easier to see because the background isn't as dark as this one because it's got some of that black in it. So I think that that's the one I'm going to go with. So let me set her aside, but still nice to experiment. I always encourage people to experiment. Okay, what am I going to do this time? And I think this one might be crooked as well. I'm not going to try doing that. And I don't trust myself to just cut. And these are a little bit difficult in the guillotine because the paper is so soft. This will work. This may not be exact, but it'll work. I'm afraid if I use the ruler trick and tear, it might work, but it might also be a little rough. I may get too much tearing. And there we go. Let me round my corners. I'm going to be shy a corner again. So excited to finally use this stamp. Other than stamping the sample for my for storing it, I haven't used that stamp. And it's a nice stamp. And I bought it to use it, not to just have it laying around. So finally, glad to be using it. Okay, let me grab just another sheet of paper so I can get the last corner. So I'm just using scrap cardstock that I have laying around to get those corners done. All right, and there she is. And I am also going to use a little bit of black around those edges. So one thing about these Frida images that I keep looking at, because I was really trying to look at some of her artwork online, and I'm familiar with a lot of it, and there's other things that I'm not familiar with. And I'm more like her story than I do necessarily all of her art. And so some of it I'm familiar with, other pieces I'm not. Like I like the two Fridas, but I know that when she's represented a lot in artwork, she always has a lot of the floral garlands around her hair. And so that was my idea with this project, with this particular tag. So this is my version of the two Fridas. My interpretation. Let me get this down. And again, I'm not going to use my scraper. I'm just going to lightly put it down. Just kind of pat it, give it a little tappy tap. Tappy tap. Okay. And then I'll show you what I did next. So I had some of those papers that I chose because I liked the colors. So let me see, I think it was these. And then also the other half of this one, because these were the full 8.5 by 11, you know, size papers, printer paper, just the standard American size printer paper. And so I cut them in half. So I used the halves of all of these sheets to make flowers. And so I wanted to use some nice thick flowers, but then I also needed some smaller flowers. So I pulled out my old tried and true. I think this was the very first die that I ever purchased. And this is the Tim Holtz Alterations, and this is the Tattered Florals. These are the big fat dies, the ones that will cut through anything. So I literally had all of those sheets in one round and just pushed it right through. These are definitely not your thinlet dies. So I used a combination of these flowers, and then I pulled some flowers that I had in my stash. And I think all of these leaves and these three flowers came from a scrapbook.com floral die, and it was a really big set of florals, and you can layer them up and everything, but those came from that. And then I wanted just a nice little round die, and so I got this one, and I'm not sure what this went with, but it's a nice little floral die. And so I ran those through, obviously individually, and I produced a lot of these guys. So look at them. They are so nice and pretty, and I've got these big ones. I have something else planned for these guys. So there's that. They're so pretty. And then lots of these little flowers. And I'll use them, so I didn't mind running them through the machine, even though I'm not necessarily using them for this particular project. There's another one. But then, and I have some of these little guys. But then I ran them, or I ended up embossing them with a nice clear emboss. And just like with those leaves that I did on that very first tag, when I did the clear emboss on these, it just brightens up. It brightens up those flowers so much, the colors on them and everything. So that is what I'm going to do today. I am going to create those nice little bouquet of flowers on her head. And so I think that I'm going to start off with just a nice base. And I'm going to get a nice flat base, and then I'll use a combination of glue and foam tape to kind of pop these up and give them some dimension. Isn't it incredible how the clear emboss changes those so much, and they just look so pretty. I mean, look at that. And then it makes them look like they're a little shiny, like it's oily on the other side. But isn't that pretty? And I didn't hit all the spots, so some of them aren't. They'll have some spots that haven't been embossed because I just kind of did it, you know, randomly, just pressed them on and then left them or pulled them off. I've got a little bit of foam tape here, so I've got my base down, and I'm going to do the largest two there. It's so beautiful. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to place these others. But I can definitely pop this up here. I might raise it just a bit. I think I'm going to pop that one up there. Get my little scissors. And I think, yep, I'm going to pop that up there. And I just wanted to get these in place today with you guys because I just wanted to show you another way of using these flower or that paper to make these gorgeous flowers. And then I'll fluff it up. I'll continue to fluff up on it and then probably put centers. I don't know what kind of centers I'll end up using. I've got several options. I've got these guys from Pink Fresh and they're clear, but I know that I have some gold ones just like this and I can't find them, so I'll have to hunt them down. So I have teenage girls in my house and they like to do their nails. And so they're constantly stealing my little you know, dots and enamel dots and glitter dots and all of that. They're constantly stealing my little box so that they can put them on their nails. And I'm like, this isn't really made for nail art. Yeah, and that doesn't seem to change anything. So they are constantly using this. So I have a feeling that one of them has them. But I also like using these guys, which these are the little gems from the art. What is it? The little dot art. Diamond dots, right? Diamond art. And so I may sprinkle a few in here. See, I think I really need like the gold. I may not do centers in the flowers and I may just kind of place these around to make them shine. Haven't decided yet. Haven't decided. But this is definitely isn't the end. There'll be finishing touches. I just don't know what that's going to look like for sure yet. But those are definitely options. And then move her over and we'll do the other side. So there's this Frida. We'll do it again with starting with a base. And I may move those out a little bit. You know what? On this one, I think I'm going to do all of them on a foam dot and just see what that looks like on this foam tape and see if how much dimension that actually adds to the whole thing. So that it's up off her face and not directly on it. I may have to go in and add glue to these too because I don't know how these are going to stick permanently on the embossing powder or on the embossed area. So I may have to do something. Do that. These colors are so pretty. They look like sangria. Like a nice berry wine. I think a berry sangria. And we'll end up covering all of that black emboss that was kind of smeared a little bit, because I got a little too happy with the ironing process. And then that little tip of that flower is cut off, so I'm trying to hide it. So I'm gonna hide it in there. So I do need to play around with it a little bit more, and I think that I may do that and add a little guy there, and then that'll be the end of it. And I don't know. It's a lot. Now I don't want it to look like a helmet. Anyhow, for now, that is it. I'll play around with it some more. I just wanted you guys to get an idea of something else that you could do with these flowers. So you can stamp and emboss on this paper. You can also cut this paper just fine. I had no problems running these through the die machines whatsoever with the big thick dies, the old-fashioned dies, the still dies, and then also with the with some of the thinlits, no problems whatsoever. So, and then embossed, they make these beautiful colors and variations pop, and they really look great. So I will finish this off, and then I have one more set of tags that I'm going to do, and it's still using the same paper to make flowers, but the technique's a little bit different, and I wanted to share that with you as well. And then that will be that'll be it for the series, and then I'll do a flip through of the completed tags. And if you liked anything that I did today, please hit the like button. Please comment so that my videos get into more feeds. For everyone who has subscribed to my channel, I really appreciate your support and the growth that I've had recently. And until next time, goodbye.